We begin 2023 with 4 days of ceremony leading up to Governor Kevin Stitt's second inauguration on Monday. There are 2 balls scheduled Friday and Saturday, a prayer service on Sunday, and the official swearing in on Monday on the grounds of the state capitol. With more on that and how a second Stitt administration will be greeted by the incoming legislature, we're joined by our Capitol correspondent, Jason Doyle.
Rich, before the inaugural ceremonies get underway, the Oklahoma legislature began the 2023 preparing for the coming regular session with the constitutionally mandated Organizational Day.
It is my distinct pleasure to call the first joint session of the first regular session of the 59th Oklahoma legislature to order.
Organizational Day is typically not eventful, just setting up rules for conduct and passing bills. But this time around in the House, Democrats questioned a rule which could strip a representative of his or her vote.
The section on 9.2, paragraph K, it permits the removal of a vote for a breach of the House rules. Does that apply to all the rules?
House Floor Leader Representative John Echols confirmed it would. He was peppered with questions about how the rule would be enforced and if punishment of taking away a vote from a representative fit the crime of something like not wearing a tie on the House floor for a vote.
But yes, and this is a practice we've actually been doing in the House for the last 2 years, codifying it inside House rules.
Echols defended putting the rules in place.
When you come into this chamber, there are rules that we agree to be able to come in and cast our votes and to do our job inside this chamber. If we agree to these rules through this vote, the bottom line is we're going to follow them or we're not going to follow them. And if we're not going to follow them, there needs to be consequences.
Despite the House Democrats' push, the Republican supermajority came into play to pass the rules resolution.
Declare the vote. 75 aye, 19 nay.
Having received a majority vote, I declare the resolution to have passed. Mr. Floor Leader.
The other business lawmakers had to take care of on Tuesday was officially installing leadership. Over in the Senate, Senator Greg Treat was reelected as Senate President pro tempore. House Speaker Charles McCall was elected to a record 4th term to serve as the leader of the House. Construction's underway on the stage that will house next week's inaugural, where the second term for Governor Kevin Stitt will begin on Monday.
I, J. Kevin Stitt, do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
4 years ago, Governor Stitt started his journey as a political outsider, winning the highest office in the state.
I look forward to rolling up my sleeves and working with you on the important tasks we have ahead to make Oklahoma a top 10 state.
Since Stitt uttered those words 4 years ago, he's had his fair shares of ups and downs as governor, developing a record savings for the state, discord with Oklahoma's native tribes, leading the state during a COVID pandemic, and some division from time to time with the legislature. House Speaker Pro Tem Kyle Hilbert is optimistic about working with the governor for another 4 years.
You know, I'm excited to work with him. I was there on his election night at his watch party, and I've truly never been in an environment as electric as it was that night.
Hilbert is confident the legislature and the governor can work together effectively, even through some disagreement.
There are tough topics, and we all represent different districts, and different districts have different opinions about how things should move forward, but we've got to discuss that, figure out what's going to be best, what's going to move the needle for Oklahoma, and go and get it done.
House Democratic Floor Leader Representative Andy Fugate feels the ball is in the governor's court in working on an agenda for the people of Oklahoma.
I think that depends a lot on the governor. Perhaps the governor is maturing into his office. I hope that's the case for the people of Oklahoma. True leadership requires being able to work with others and not just being the person who believes they have to be the guy in charge of every single thing.
Republican Representative Tammy West feels that disagreements between the legislature and the governor are inevitable, no matter the party.
I am optimistic that we're going to be able to come together and work on those things that are most important, but I am not opposed to iron sharpening iron. I think friction and conversation and having hard conversations leads to a better product.
West says the legislators will fight for the needs in their district, even against the governor's agenda.
So I'm not afraid to go in and fight for what I feel like my district needs. I think the governor comes from a state standpoint.
I like the idea of an outsider, a political outsider who didn't.
Democrat Representative Jacob Rosecrans says at first he thought Stitt's political outsider status would play to his advantage during his first term.
That's not been what I've seen. If anything, some of the being outside of things has caused problems, as you've seen through the Senate and the House, and then of course the governor's office not being able to get on the same page. I think that's probably going to continue.
Hilbert expects the upcoming session to be a continuation of the work the legislature has done over the past year in regular and special sessions.
It's interesting, right? Because we've been in nonstop session for 2 years. And so normally you have a session ending in May, and then you have an 8-month interim to prepare and come up with ideas for a new session. And so really it's not anything new. It's a continuation of what's been happening both over the previous regular session as well as the 2 special sessions that have really bled into this current session.
The bill submission deadline is quickly approaching on January 19th, with the legislative session getting underway with Governor Kevin Stitt's State of the State speech on February 6th. You can watch the governor's inauguration right here on OETA starting Monday at 11:30 a.m.